So hello everybody, welcome along to this webinar on Into University of Stirling, and in particular our BA Honours Business Studies programme. Now everybody who has been invited to this webinar today is either an offer holder or an agent of students who will be holding offers for our programme. So hopefully you'll find this session very, very useful, and as I say, we can do questions at the end. Now, in terms of where we go with this webinar, I thought we would start at the end and work our way backwards by looking at employers. So employment is the end goal of any student's journey. And students come to university because they want to boost their employment prospects. This year, the QS Global Employer Survey received over 26,000 respondents, a global representation of employers from a range of companies and organizations, telling QS what it is that they're looking for within the graduate employment pool. They explain where they are seeing skills gaps, and they also talk about where they are unsatisfied with the skills that are on offer from both the graduates applying for jobs and from the current workforce. So it is a very, very important document, and it tells us what we need to be looking at in order to create a successful program for students. So the chart here is lifted directly from the report, and it shows you what employers have said. There are some very interesting statistics and very interesting pieces of information from within this research, with the main focus being on a number of the softer and more transferable skills that employers are looking for. So employers list communication, teamwork, and problem solving as some of the most important skills that they are looking for when they are looking at the graduate talent pool. But within that jobs market and the current workforce, they list problem solving and communication as two areas with the biggest skills gap. They're also finding that the workforce is lacking in resilience, and they cannot find people with these skills, thus the skills gap. Where employers are least satisfied with the current skills on offer, either from their current employees or the graduate workforce, we're looking at things like commercial awareness, negotiation, and leadership. So any student who is looking for a degree that is going to get them a job in the long term needs to be looking for degrees that upskill them in these particular areas. There are also a range of other problems that employers are looking to solve and that employers will take into consideration when they are looking at the graduate workforce. There are lots of growing industry trends and lots of different patterns where employers are trying to acquire the knowledge of these areas, and it's important that the student also acquires the knowledge in these areas in order to be able to inform an employer and to enhance their business. So employers are going to be looking for graduates who have these particular skills on their resume, and they have something to bring to a job interview. And I'll give you a few examples of what the employers are actually looking for. So some examples would be the way in which COVID has changed business operations. As we know, there is a lot more in the way of what we call hybrid working here in the UK, which means a combination of working from home and working in the office, which means workforces are needing to be managed and operated very differently. The world of retail has also changed as a result of COVID, with online shopping becoming more important, and socially the world has changed as well, with customers and consumers now more conscious of social issues than they've ever been before, and many consumers only choosing to work with companies and brands that are socially responsible. So they might be doing things like looking out for the environment, they might be sourcing their materials in a responsible way, paying fair wages, and giving opportunities to people from different backgrounds. There are also new markets that companies might want to cross into, such as esports or kind of regular sports like soccer, cricket, and things like that, in order to capitalize on increased brand awareness. So With all this in mind and thinking about what employers are actually looking for, how does the BA Honours Business Studies course at University of Stirling help make you employable and help give you skills and experience in these particular areas? Let's take a look at those. So as we saw, communication is one of the most important skills, and it's one of the areas where employers are seeing one of the biggest skills gaps. This is particularly important as companies adopt that hybrid working, with colleagues working from home, now being placed all over the globe, as well as in the office as well. Without regular in-person interaction, within kind of rigid working hours, employees are not only having to be more self-sufficient, but they're also having to connect with colleagues that they've never met before, potentially doing that exclusively online. Communication also boosts morale, it boosts engagement, and most importantly, it boosts productivity, which is why companies and employers are putting a real premium on communication. So at Into University of Stirling, your communication skills are built up from day one. From the moment you step in that door at the Into Centre, you can see in the picture on the screen, you'll be building your communication skills. Academic English is one of the areas where you will do that. It's not just about learning English, but it's also learning about how to communicate. And this is done by improving your presentation skills so that you can stand up in front of colleagues and peers and articulate what you've learned from a particular project. And it also covers written communication in the form of poster projects, in form of videos, and all of these are required to summarize information for a particular audience, just like you would if you're working in a business or working in marketing. So as you can see, a very transferable skill that will last you not just into your studies, but into your career as well. Moving on to the degree, there are many chances to improve your communication skills. In year 2, there are opportunities to look at the use of language. So the module Language in the Brain looks at how language is processed, and it looks at why people don't always agree on what words mean, which is particularly useful if you're working internationally and there might be language barriers. It's useful also for conflict resolution in the workplace, because two different employees might interpret a particular phrase or a piece of writing in a very different way. And it's also very good when you are addressing different audiences, perhaps of different ages and different backgrounds. We also have a module on writing and language, and this module details how language choices produce particular effects, which is a perfect skill to have if you are looking at going into marketing or public relations. Modules like project management will also improve your communication skills as well, as will the leadership and management modules, which look at the roles of leaders within organizations and how they communicate across that particular organization. So we've got communication pretty well covered, I would say. Of the skills deemed to be most important among global employers, problem solving stands out as one of the highest in terms of where companies and employers are dissatisfied with the level. And in turn, that creates a big skills gap amongst global employers, which our students can fill. So problem solving is a big issue for employers as the world develops. And new things bring new challenges that companies have never encountered before. And COVID is another perfect example of that. In an effort to address these particular skills gaps, University of Stirling and Into University of Stirling are beginning to adopt teaching methods that encourage greater practice of critical discussion, problem solving, including what we call the flipped classroom. So the flipped classroom is where a student will be given some pre-reading to do before the class starts. And what they do is they work on the problem solving aspect of it during the class. So they get some reading to do, they have some time to think about the problem, and then in groups with their classmates and their colleagues, they will discuss what that problem is and how to resolve it. So this approach is what we take at Into, and it is also what is used at University of Stirling as well. So your Into International Year 1 will prepare you for the teaching methods of the university. And that in turn will help you get better grades and possibly better graduate outcomes as well. The biggest thing you'll get from your portfolio is your dissertation. And this is a flexible project where you'll be expected to gain an understanding of a particular industry problem or challenge by researching it in depth. And students will do this independently, and it really defines what your program is. Along the way, there are chances to look at all aspects of problem solving. So the module on business analytics looks at techniques investigating key issues such as problem identification using patterns and data sets. The module encourages creativity within analysis and solution generation using computer-based business systems to build problem-solving models. Other modules such as Introduction to Data Science and Practical Statistics also give you an insight into the kind of data that is used to solve modern-day workplace problems. Other modules look at problems from a philosophical point of view. So modules like social problems and moral theory encourage debate, critical thinking in order to solve a problem which is not so straightforward and which requires a number of perspectives to be considered. So this will help companies with a range of ethical issues, perhaps, where tough decisions need to be made. So resilience is one of the areas where employers are finding a big gap as well. And there are opportunities to build resilience in every single module you'll study both at Into and the University of Stirling. The practical nature of Stirling's teaching means that facing questions about your work when presenting to teachers and peers and other students, it means that you get used to being challenged and you get comfortable with having your viewpoint questioned. This in turn allows you to remain composed and to think of answers to counter the kind of arguments that you will face and the kind of opposition that you might face in the workplace when presenting an idea to colleagues. So we begin this on day one at Into, where students are encouraged to get out of their comfort zone and to speak publicly and to contribute to discussions. Contributions to classroom discussions are monitored throughout the year, and they do make up a small part of a student's assessment as well. A student will regularly be asked when they express a viewpoint, they'll be asked by the teacher, why do you think that? Can you evidence this argument? And this builds up that resilience. Your resilience is also built up in the Into Study Skills module. And here you'll be introduced to UK culture, which better prepares you for the different academic environment you'll go into when you go into the university environment. And it also introduces you to different working practices that you may never have experienced in your home country. So very, very good way to acquire these skills. For those looking for a little bit more in the way of resilience training, research methods is a great place to start. Through encouraging confidence and robust research methods, it means that students are empowered for their learning because they know their material and they know their subject area. You see there on year 2 that there is an option for crime and justice, and this might seem like a very strange module to have on a business studies degree. So why is it there? One of the reasons that you have the opportunity to study crime and justice is because it helps you with your resilience. This module is team taught, and you have workshop seminars which require active participation in discussions and debates. And this again means that your ideas and your viewpoints are regularly challenged. It is a good place to start practicing being challenged before you have your ideas challenged in a real life working environment. And you can say the same thing about philosophy modules that you can see on the options as well. Going deeper into the course modules, project management, strategic management, and your dissertation are also places where your ideas will be regularly challenged. So you get a lot of practice at being challenged when you come to University of Stirling. And that in turn will build up that resilience. So leadership is important to business because good leadership can bring out the best in teams, and it really boosts productivity by inspiring colleagues to feel confident and work to the best of their abilities. There are many chances within the BA Honours Business Studies course to study leadership for a range of different settings, different types of companies, and also different scenarios. So in your foundation level course, your International Year 1, you'll be introduced to the people skills module, which will help you understand the different types of people that you might work with and that you might be leading. And in particular, it looks at motivation of people, which in turn will bring out the best in your workforce. And this is a really good skill to be able to tell employers that you have. When it comes to other transferable modules, in year 3, you'll have a module called Leadership and Management. And this module will examine the changing nature of leadership and the challenges that face leaders in a rapidly changing, increasingly global world. And this sets them up for the modern workplace, which is something that those employers are looking for. Elsewhere, you can also find accounting and finance for managers. And this is designed for the needs of the non-financial manager. So this module is not all about how to be an accountant, but instead it focuses on what you as a manager need to know about finance. You also have innovation management, which is intended to focus on the manager. And this is a key enabler in visualizing a strategic approach, collecting and analyzing data sets, and planning the roadmap of activities, investments, and asset deployment to achieve a balanced and effective operational plan. You also have strategic management, which is a capstone module delivered in the final year, and it aims to equip students with a good grasp of strategic issues facing organizations operating in the private, the public, and the non-profit sector as well. So as we saw in the QS employer survey, commercial awareness is also important as well. So commercial awareness is the understanding of how your business and your industry operate and make money. When you demonstrate commercial awareness, you're focused on making money for your business and helping it achieve its aims. So you can see why employers really value commercial awareness. And there are lots of opportunities to get commercial awareness within your BA Honours Business Studies course at University of Stirling. So the course has multiple opportunities to increase commercial awareness, and it begins in International Year 1 when you look at branding and market segmentation. So looking at how and why certain brands position themselves in the marketplace and why they do that. You'll look at economic factors as well that affect the businesses, as well as looking at things like business funding models within the UK as well. Moving into the degree, you'll see that there's modules such as economic decision making and markets, which looks at analysing economic situations which in commercial decisions are made. By equipping yourself with practical knowledge of the Economist's Toolkit introduced in this particular module, you are developing important communication, data, strategic thinking skills. By learning economics and using real-world problems of today, you'll be empowered to shape the world of tomorrow. So you can see there that that module combines a number of different skills that employers are looking for. The course also covers every kind of global organization, public, private, not-for-profit, and that gives students that wide scope of the different commercial environments that they might find themselves working in. Global business environment helps students understand the most important trends within the business environment. So looking at demographics, socio-economical backgrounds, political, legal, and technological changes across the world. And it looks at the link between them all. In years 3 and 4, there's a chance for you to gain commercial awareness within particular industries. So looking at the world of retail, looking at the world of digital, and also looking at the world of sports and esports as well. And finally, you'll see a module which is business in Europe and the emerging economies. And this is a really strong one for students to do. It looks at the European Union, it looks at the ASEAN region, and it looks at the emerging BRICS nations and their economies. And it also looks at what they call the Asian tigers, such as Japan and Korea. So you can pick up some international commercial knowledge as well. Employers are really going to be keen to secure graduates for their work knowledge of the global commercial marketplace. So again, it's a great opportunity for students to acquire some fantastic skills that employers are looking for. There's also teamwork. So you get the study skills module at Into, which will introduce you to the concept of teamwork. You'll study people skills and before being set up in groups to complete projects such as vlog projects, poster projects, and a number of group assignments. In year 4 of your BA Honours Business Studies degree, your strategic management module is where you and your classmates will be broken up into teams, and you'll be required to work together to put into practice everything that you've learned over the last 4 years to solve real world business problems. And this is a great example for you to have in a job interview as a time when you've worked as part of a team, because that is a question that faces almost everybody when they go into a job interview within the UK. And being able to talk with first-hand experience is fantastic, and it will really enhance those job prospects long term. In terms of understanding the makeup of teams, there are plenty of modules across the course that help you understand teamwork theory. So motivation, which is part of your Into Foundation, will be one. In the degree, you've got organization of business, which will help you establish the kinds of teams that you'll be working within. And project management and strategic management will look how you and your team can together achieve your goals. We also have a look at the changing business world. So earlier we looked at some of the areas where companies might be lacking knowledge as the world changes. The world changes all the time, and so businesses really need to keep up and keep their knowledge fresh when it comes to these growing trends. This is where new graduates can be of real value to business. And the flexible nature of the BA Honours Business Studies programme can help make these students really employable. Hybrid working, as we saw, was one example. So there is a big demand for employees to be able to combine working from home and working from the office. But as you can see on the statistics on the screen, managers are actually really worried about productivity. So this is where our contemporary workplace contemporary employment relations module can look at issues relevant to the modern day working environment. It looks at the actions of those employing people, so those employers, and it also looks at a sociological approach to employment as well. So looking at people's social backgrounds and how that might affect their employment and some of the reasons why they might want to do hybrid working. Hybrid working is also a big change, and many organizations are struggling to adapt successfully when big change comes along. So our managing change module looks at successfully implementing big changes within the workplace. And these modules combined will assure any employer that a University of Stirling graduate can help them adapt to these new working practices. Retailers are another area where we've seen a lot of changes, but in particular in the UK, retailers are a major recruiter of business graduates. So knowledge of the world of retail is very important. Both COVID and the online revolution have changed retail forever. The retail modules give students a basic understanding of the principles of both business and customer. And modules such as delivering value in the digital age also look at digital marketing, which retailers are now having to rely on more than they ever had. So it looks at consumer culture within the internet and social media and how businesses can capitalize on that. Consumer habits are also changing as well. It's not just technology that's changing people, it's also social issues. People now have ethics in mind when it comes to shopping and engaging with businesses. So the murder of George Floyd over in America, the exposure of modern slavery, and also things like climate change have meant that people are now thinking twice when it comes to who they buy from and who they do business with. Politics, social issues, and business success have never been more interlinked. And with the internet providing more choice than ever before, consumers can actually now be very, very selective. So modules on responsible business, politics, behavioral economics, and even flexible modules on the environment that you can study as part of your BA Honours degree here at University of Stirling mean that our graduates can offer advice and perspectives to help businesses navigate these key issues in line with the new beliefs of their customer base. And finally, there are a whole host of new markets for businesses to get involved in. These represent a range of commercial opportunities, including sponsorship, merchandising, advertising, brand association, all things like that. So a graduate's knowledge of these growth areas will provide real value for businesses and employers, and the addition of these modules and the knowledge will give Stirling graduates in particular the edge over the competition when it comes to other universities. So those are your kind of reasons for maybe wanting to study a BA Honours Business Studies degree here at University of Stirling, and gives you some of the reasons why you might want to choose us over other universities. But how do you get to that degree? Well, there are two options that you have in order to gain entry to the BA Honours Business Studies course via Into. The easiest option is the International Year 1 programme. So this is a foundation level programme combined with your degree under one single visa. This offers a number of benefits. So UKVI actually see this route as a degree level course, meaning that your visa may give you more rights when it comes to working and more rights when it comes to maybe bringing dependents or applying for dependents visas. It obviously allows you to stay in the UK between your first study year and your second study year, which potentially means you can take advantage of Scotland's booming tourist market and maybe get a part-time job between your courses. On the other side, we have the route which we now call the International Foundation, the pink route that you can see on the right. This is a standalone program, which is similar to what you'll find at other Into centres and other foundation providers. This program does offer you more flexibility in terms of being able to move to a different university or change your major if you don't like what you see in your first year at Into, but it does require 2 visas. And this means a potentially expensive trip home between your first and second year to go and apply for that other visa. It's not seen as a degree level course by UKVI. So that means that you may be more restricted when it comes to part-time work and bringing dependents. And it also means that expensive trip home over the summer, which is going to cost you more money as well. And in addition to that, progression to university is not guaranteed in the same way that it is under the International Year 1 programme. So that is worth bearing in mind as well. In terms of the fees and the scholarships, when it comes to University of Stirling, we are very competitive. You can see there the tuition fees for the International Year 1, which is $15,450. And then the tuition fees for the BA Honours Studies business course is £16,400 per year. But we do have a generous scholarship package which brings that cost down. The scholarship package is worth around £8,500 across the 4 years of study if you're doing a 4-year route. And as you can see there, it makes the tuition very affordable in comparison to what you might be charged at a Russell Group university, nearly £10,000 a year lower than if you went to a Russell Group university. So a very, very good and very, very strong investment. In terms of acquiring the scholarships, you will need to speak to your educational agent in order to acquire these. So if you have not got the scholarship as part of your package for Into, please do speak to your educational agent and they can make sure that these are applied. So some other things you might be asking about your BA Honours Business Studies course here at University of Stirling. How is the work assessed? Now, I always describe our courses here at University of Stirling as ideal for those students who do not like exams. We have a range of different methods to assess across the 4-year study plan. You'll have essays, you'll have management reports, you'll have company-based investigations. You also have group projects and presentations where you have to give feedback on what you learned and what you would do differently next time. You have computer simulations for some of the finance-based modules, and you also have role play where you can actually go and play out a scenario as if you were a business. And this improves your negotiation skills and gives you a practice before you go into a real world environment. You also have video projects as well. You have things like event planning, where you might plan and execute a small event. And finally, yes, you will have some exams, but it tends to be the case that on any given degree at University of Stirling, it's under 50% of your course will be through exams. So we are ideal for students who maybe do not like exams. When it comes to satisfaction, University of Stirling is home to some of the happiest students anywhere in the UK. You can see on this slide here that University of Stirling is in the top 20 in the UK when it comes to teaching satisfaction, and you'll see that it is in the top 20 in the UK for course satisfaction as well. So this means that you are paying really competitive fees, but you're getting some of the best teaching satisfaction and course satisfaction anywhere in the UK. We're also experiencing 98% satisfaction with learning spaces, 94% satisfaction with expert lecturers, and 94% satisfaction with course content and assessments as well. So we are home to very, very happy students here at University of Stirling. We also have a fantastic career service for students to take advantage of as well. And all of this is free of charge for students to use. We have regular industry lectures. So that means that people from the industry are coming in and speaking to our BA Honours Business Studies students, and that again will increase your commercial awareness. And as we saw earlier in the presentation, that is one of the skills that our employers here in the UK are really valuing. We also have the professional development and practice module, which aims to develop levels of self-awareness which will help students better articulate their academic and work-related competencies to graduate recruiters. And this means that when you are writing your job application and when you are in your interview, you'll be able to identify skills that you have acquired throughout your degree, and you'll be able to tell that employer what you have and how that can help them in the long run. We also have a course which is designed by employers. So University of Stirling has their International Business Advisory Board, which is a consortium of local business professionals who help devise our course content and give us advice and guidance on modules based on the kinds of skills that they are looking for. So these courses are not just designed with employers in mind, they are actually designed by employers. And that is a big difference between us and other business studies programs. We spoke about the fantastic career service that we have. As an Into student, you get access to this career service from day one. They offer a range of different things, and I've categorized them here in 3 different types. You've got employment skill sessions, and this is where you can sit down with members of the careers team, or they run events on the kinds of employment skills that will help you get that job in the long run. So examples include checking your CV and your resume. It also includes sessions on how to prepare for a job interview, if you are fortunate enough to have got a job interview. It also helps with things like LinkedIn profiles, and there are also confidence and assertiveness workshops to help build that resilience as well. And all of these are free of charge, and you can go to them as an Into student or a University of Stirling student as well. They also have a jobs vacancy board. So every day they are advertising new jobs, both for post-graduation, but also part-time jobs for when you are studying as well. So if you go to the careers office, they'll be able to show you every day the new jobs that they have on offer. And finally, they offer industry insight events as well. So they include sessions such as finance and football, where a football professional has come in to talk about the financial and investment side of football. There are also sessions on how to work as an international student. So looking at your visa rights, how to apply for the post-study work visa, how to apply for national insurance numbers and things like that. There are also sessions on professional behaviours and transitioning to the workplace. And this is all about how to transition from being a student to going into a professional workplace and what is expected of you. And again, that will increase your professionalism, but it will also increase your commercial awareness as well. We also have sessions on things like disability in the workplace. So if you are somebody with a disability, you can have a session on how to talk to your employer about that disability, as well as your rights as a disabled person in the workplace as well. And finally, there are lots of sessions, people coming in from particular industries to talk about their industry, including management investment professionals and CEOs of small to medium businesses as well. So lots of opportunities there for you to engage with the fantastic career service, free of charge, and this will help you get the job in the long run. In terms of Scotland and Stirling as a graduate destination, Stirling's location within Scotland makes it the ideal place for any graduate to be based. Stirling is right in the centre of Scotland. It's very close to Edinburgh and very close to Glasgow as well. And that means that you can take advantage of Scotland's incredible graduate jobs market. Employment in Scotland is currently at record levels, and inward foreign investment is outpacing the rest of the UK and Europe. We're seeing investment in digital technology, we're seeing investment in business services, and this is producing jobs growth. And that is also meaning now that the Scottish economy is bigger than it was pre-COVID. So it means that international graduates are coming into a really vibrant jobs market, which is open to the international community. And finally, Glasgow and Edinburgh are top 10 UK towns and cities for salaries when it comes to finance and business professional services as well. So basing yourself in Stirling for your studies and for postgraduate work opportunities means that you have great access to all of this. And this is something that you might not get in other areas of the UK outside of London. So that concludes our BA Honours Business Studies presentation. I hope that you found it useful, and I hope that there were some really good industry insights and that you've managed to connect what we do here at University of Stirling with what the workplace is looking for, and that you see the value of a BA Honours Business Studies degree from University of Stirling. If you take one thing away from today, please do follow us on Instagram. This is a great place for you to keep up to date with what's happening at Into, what's happening at University of Stirling, and what is happening across Scotland as well. So please do follow us on Instagram, and it is a really easy way for you to stay on top of everything. So that concludes the presentation. Please do reach out to myself or Michael if you have any questions, but I will conclude the presentation now, and I'm happy to take any questions in the chat box. So thank you very much, and please do let me know if there are any other questions.